Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Tuesday, the 24th, still in the lull of the summer as we await the Jackson Hole Symposium this Friday. And yesterday was a crazy day in the E-mini. To the charts here, you can see. Okay, so just remember that last week we had like this huge dumpster fire and all that sort of stuff, and big update on Friday. And here is Monday, just up to all new highs very easily. When I was looking at all of the metrics and everything, this move, I mean, this one is kind of like by the dip. Okay, whatever. But this move in particular was particularly insane. Like this one was pretty strong. This had like all of the characteristics of this one, but it was even steeper. So yeah, I don't know if that's sustainable, but that's kind of the context that we are in today. Come over to the 10-year, and yesterday yields decreased, and the overnight they're still pretty low. So I don't know. One thing that is going on, maybe we're reading too much into it, but the Jackson Hole Symposium is now going to be an online only event. It's not going to be in person anymore, which kind of suggests that the central bank is being cautious about the Delta variant. And I think that the market may be reading into that, you know, they're going to be a little bit more easy. But Goldman Sachs, for instance, expects that they're going to taper in November. So whether it's in November or September, I'm not sure that really matters. These interest rates are going to come back, but might not happen until they actually taper. So oil was amazing yesterday and still doing pretty good overnight. Gold held the 1800 level yesterday, so that's pretty good. They're gonna have to hold it for a few days, of course. You know, it's not unusual that they've done this thing where it's like they broke out and then like the next day they come back. So don't get trapped by that. Silver, you know, recovering as well. So silver has been performing really poorly compared to gold. So copper doing okay. Doing okay. Now Bitcoin yesterday hitting the 50K level, coming back a little bit, but you know, everything over there looks good. There's this whole Cardano thing going on, pretty crazy. I suspect that we'll get a haircut after that goes live. Also, Garlic Coin doubles tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. A little plug for the one cryptocurrencies that I still own. And the dollar, you can see, continues to be weak. So yesterday, you know, we're coming here and it's like, the dollar is looking a little weak, but it got just destroyed yesterday. And it's looking pretty weak today as well. So that's a macro framework that would generally be supportive to the S&P 500. So I see here, it's like the macro framework looks positive. The risk sentiment looks positive. Is just, can they really hold those levels? I don't know. Well, the E-mini has taken a little cut here. What's this? Actually everything reacting to that. Gold is like taking a move right now too. It's a big move up and then a big move down. No, I'm not really seeing it super huge in the dollar. I should note that the overnight action in the E-mini has been a little slippery. You picked up more Dodge. Oh man. That one, I tell you what. They sure last time around did not. Some people got really pummeled on that one. When you look at a chart of Doge, it looks exactly like GameStop, almost exactly like GameStop. Big push up and then long lasting effect, maybe trying to take off again. But like you get to remember, it's just orders pushing it, right? So orders have significant and long lasting impacts on the price of things. That doesn't mean that it can be sustained forever, right? At some point you run out of people and you have to sell, and then the impact comes the other way. So I don't know. The whole thing is like, why would there be any reason for, I mean, with ADA, it makes sense. Okay. They're going to be going live. There's interest in it. People are buying it for that. Like that's a trade that makes sense. But like everything else in the cryptocurrency sphere right now, like as a trade, it doesn't make sense. But you have no reason to believe that anything is going to do anything. Maybe Garlic Coin too. Garlic Coin is, the halving, that's going to have an impact on it. But that's really more of an investment than a trade. I don't know if it would make sense if you would make much as a trade. Well, that's curious. That is curious. So everything moved there. I didn't see any news or anything. Let's see here. Do we have something at the bottom of the hour? Here we start. Who cares? What's that going to do? Wall Street Journal has an article on adhere, the payment giant. I have no more free articles. Oh. Yeah, but what are they going to do? Like, they're not going to change the protocol. Well, maybe they would. All we got today is existing home sales. Which means both are out. Who cares? I don't care. Like, I think that Elon Musk put his name behind Dogecoin is the worst reason to invest in an asset ever. That Elon Musk is attached to it is the worst reason to invest in something. Like maybe if it was brand new, I would put up for it, but these interest rate futures are being a little shifty today, wouldn't you say? The market maker, well, he calmed down, but the market maker was adjusting his prices a lot there. So what I'm missing here is where does this lead to new orders? You realize that the technology doesn't mean a darned thing in cryptocurrencies. Does not mean, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. All that matters is that people buy it. What is going to be a catalyst to cause new people to buy it? I don't know. They're not getting so the thing that's interesting with the whole cryptocurrency space right now is that the tethers are pumping like crazy And so prices are back up to 50K and everything, but the interest is not there. Like there was interest before, but that interest, like at the beginning of the year, like this spring, was nothing compared to the interest in 2017. Like when you look at the Google search traffic and everything, it wasn't actually. Let's look at that. Let's look at that. How did you do? It did okay. I think it got 80 to 100 in the first day. So if I search for Bitcoin, and we need to look at the past 5 years. Okay, so look, in 2017, there was more search traffic for Bitcoin than there was this past summer, right? Beginning of the year, spring. Okay. But then you can see how the interest has just kind of died off. Doesn't mean that it will continue, but the question that you have to ask yourself if you're in cryptocurrencies, because this is really what ultimately is going to matter, right? Like my indicator is going to show you. Oh my gosh, hold on a second.
Is likely to have broad monetary policy transmission, while it is also creating new risks in conduct.
Oops, I had my speakers on. Anyways, so my thing will show you like a relative valuation based on activity on the blockchain, which is very, very important. But then this is going to show you where the new buyers are coming from, or when the new buyers are coming. And right now they're not there. So I continue to see like this excitement around ADA and like the cryptocurrency sphere in general, because it's up at 50K, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but where's the new buyers? Because I think that the public is already burned out on it. Yeah, let's go look at what cheaper transactions you say. I for something that already has, transactions of less than a cent, I don't see how that would make a difference either. Let's see here. So it got the typical 100. Yesterday's video. It's actually on the lower end of the past 5 videos or whatever, but it's been okay. And looks like most of it has just come from the channel. And we are getting search traffic from earned trade, the search term. And I don't get the audience retention metrics yet, but it's mostly subscribers. So that's actually not too bad. It's not too bad at all. Goldman Sachs raises on. Yes, so I did mention that in my opener, but should we read that? You want to go read that? Let's actually, I didn't get to do quite as much of my morning reading today because my phone was basically dead. CIG chief met secretly with Taliban leader on Monday. What? It's probably going to be on the second page, isn't it? Yeah. Coleman sees oil hitting new highs after recent. I do too. I think that oil makes some sense. Maybe I should be buying an oil stock. I shouldn't have muted the microphone for that part because it was amazing. Okay. So here's where they get an in. Our base case is that the FOMC will announce a taper in September if the August non-farm payrolls is strong. Okay, so that makes sense. They will propose the tapering at the conference, and then on September they're going to say, "Yep, we're going to do it" in the statement, and then they will actually do it in November, assuming that August non-farms payrolls are strong. I think that the current economic sentiment kind of suggests that it could be strong. But I don't know. People could. I think that the risk is on that they'll be more aggressive. Like the chances that they'll be like, oh no, like this is no good. We're not going to taper for another year, I think are really low. Like with as long as the market continues to be up here. Have you ever tracked patterns based on the market of November elections only? So I haven't done like a formal study on it, and nor have I ever seen a formal scholarly study on it. But I'm definitely aware of some kind of seasonal patterns related to elections in markets. Markets often have a lot of turmoil and I would even say difficulty going into elections, and then things resolve with the elections and continue on. There's also, if this was an election year, we would be looking for after the non-farms payroll and what is it, Labor Day, that, the news cycle really picks up and the candidates start campaigning harder and stuff. Bring back Anita at Kleenex. I'll look around for some scholarly articles. Yeah, the thing is that the specific situation that we're in at the election matters a lot, right? And that's not going to be for another 3 years, so I wouldn't spend too much time on it. The political situation right now is definitely interesting, though. Like, even CNN is mad, let's say, at the Biden administration right now. I think the one that was particularly eye-opening to me was the reporters asked about, like, what about all of the Americans that are basically stranded in Kabul right now? And Jen Psaki, or I forget how you say her name, the White House press secretary was saying no Americans are stranded in Afghanistan, which was like playing with words. Like, listen, there are people from the United States in Afghanistan that would like to not be in Afghanistan and cannot get out at the moment. Okay. They are stranded. It was just like total like gaslighting level lies from the press secretary, and the media did not like that at all. The media did not like that at all, and CNN was putting on like the really aggressive headlines and stuff like that. So kind of what I see right now with the political situation in the United States is like, we don't really have a president anymore. I don't think that anybody is confident that Joe Biden can execute the duties of president effectively. And the establishment figures that were so upset with Donald Trump are kind of regretting now, especially the guys on the Republican side are regretting now putting Joe Biden in charge, because it's going to have very negative, long-lasting effects, whereas Donald Trump is like no big deal. So I think that makes a significant difference to the political situation. One, does Joe Biden resign, or they invoke the 25th Amendment or whatever and put Kamala Harris in? Like, that's a big deal. But then for the midterms and the next election, that's also a big deal. It's extremely unlikely now that a year and 3 months from now that Democrats will still be in power, at least given current trajectory. So that's going to matter. And I think that has kind of cooled the markets. You notice that even though there is still an infrastructure bill and a debt, there's the debt limit, and there's the overall budget, nobody's been saying anything about it. You notice there's hardly been any news or analysis on that. I don't think that the market cares as much anymore, because they don't expect Democrats to be in power next year. I think Biden is doing fine. I'm sorry, but what is going on in Afghanistan is not fine. What is happening in Afghanistan is the greatest failure of the U.S. government, the most embarrassing executive failure in U.S. history, point blank. And I'm just telling you, like, what do you say? Your sources are echo chambered. I'm not picking this up from Fox News, guys. Like, you're seeing it on CNN. You're seeing it on MSNBC, frankly. He's one of the few people to stand up to the military-industrial complex. I have, so let me offer an alternative theory on this. Maybe the people that are been working in the government their whole lives on foreign policy in Afghanistan and so forth actually know a thing or two about what they are doing, and that their motivations are more complicated than just how can I increase the amount of war out there so that I can make more money. I think that these people do truly understand what the political and security situations are out there in the world, and they told Joe Biden what was going to happen, and they were right, and he went ahead and he did it anyways. And this entire narrative, this entire battle that we've been having since I was in high school over the Afghanistan war and the establishment, the foreign policy establishment's view of Afghanistan and these other places versus the very far left and far right's view of it, because they both agree on this thing where they don't want them in Afghanistan, that it turns out that these guys actually do know what they're talking about and that we should have listened to them. I don't see how you come out of this and you say, oh, yes, it was worth allowing tens of thousands of people to be raped and murdered and give the country basically so that all of these resources can be exploited by China. Yeah, this was totally what we should have allowed, because it was just too big of a burden for us to have 2,500 troops in the country holding things together. And like, really, only 2,500 troops in the country. No American has died in years. Sorry, but they were right. They were right. And the thing that is problematic here is that Joe Biden was told. They were told about all of the problems, including with the evacuation, which is just a complete disaster. You're right. And he didn't care. He ignored it. He said, I don't care what the military-industrial complex says. I'm getting out of Afghanistan come hell or high water, and I'm going to do it no matter what. Right? Only Joe Biden. I honestly think if Donald Trump was in, they would have talked him out of it, or certainly they would have pulled out in a different way. You know, they were saying that like in Afghanistan they had 300,000 troops, but the reality was that these provinces were saying that they had troops because they would get the money for the troops, but then they didn't actually have any troops. So it actually turned out that the Taliban far outnumbered, almost 2-1, the Afghan army. Can you believe that? Right? Like this was like, they should have known. They should have known. The timeline surprised everyone. They expected the city to hold for a year, maybe 2. Well, but I kind of wonder, though, like, if Donald Trump was in I seem to vaguely recall him commenting on it even. That, like, Donald Trump was saying, well, if they don't cut it out, we're going to have to change the deal. Because they're not upholding their end of the bargain. But then I kind of feel like what happened was Joe Biden was in charge and like, oh, okay, we can just do whatever we want now. Took over the whole country. Like it's just crazy to me that they've been pushing this. This hasn't been like a one-day thing. Like they've been moving across the country now for like 6 months, and they didn't do jack squat about it. Trump has been saying that Biden could not stop. Well, that's not true. I think that they probably tried to make it really difficult for him to stop the withdrawal, but they could have stopped it or delayed it. I don't think so. You have done everything you could to help the Afghans. Now they have to stop. No, that's absolutely false. I'm going to say that's empirically false. Okay. You cannot come in and say, oh, this is a lost cause. We need to cut our losses and get out of here. And then expect the people that are left to be like, okay, the U.S. says that we're absolute failures, but we're going to prove them wrong by fighting the Taliban and putting our lives. Come on. Are you fucking kidding me, guys? You would not do that. None of you there. You were in the Afghan army. You're looking at that situation where nobody believes in you. The whole structure of the thing is falling apart. You're going to risk your life for that? Hell no, you're not. The whole way that they went about it made it impossible for them to succeed. And here's the thing. 2,500 troops, guys. You realize we've been in South Korea for like 70 years. South Korea is like a successful place. Why is it we can stay in? I would be willing to stay in Afghanistan 200 years. No joke. If it's only 2,500 troops, it's not that bad. Okay, I think it's a small price to pay to prevent genocide. Like it's literally genocide happening over there. So you don't believe in America first? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I think that the America first policy would suggest that we stay in Afghanistan. It was in America's best interest that we stay in Afghanistan. America first is a different thing. And America first is like, hey, stop letting China walk all over you. Stop letting the European leaders get away with like not putting any money behind mutual defense. Right? But it doesn't mean that we have to pull out of Afghanistan. It's 2,500 freaking troops. Now, America First would say if we're going to be in Afghanistan, we should be spending the money wisely. And that certainly didn't happen. You look at all of the equipment and money that they had been pouring into Afghanistan, it really was a case of like military contractors and everything just like a large money transfer of wealth over to these contractors, right? Like, then that's, I would say, Congress's fault, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have been there. And get Americans, no American has died in Afghanistan for like 5 years, Keller. A foreign country that won't protect itself against religious extremists. There are people there that did that did try to protect themselves and fight against religious extremists. There are people up there still now in the northern part of Afghanistan, still fighting and trying to hold ISIS off, okay? It's some of these things take time. Some of these things take time. Like again, we're still in South Korea. Why is it we can be in Korea for 70 years, and we have way more people in Korea, by the way. We have way more people in Korea than we do in Afghanistan. Why is it that we give up after 20 years? The funny thing here is that and the argument that you're having with Uzi is that he didn't really make a point. I think the only thing that he said was like Joe Biden standing up to the industrial military complex is kind of funny. Well, yeah, it is. It is kind of. But that's the thing is that Joe Biden has been against being in Afghanistan from the beginning. Like he was going to try and get out come hell or high water. He really was. That doesn't speak much to what his relationship with the military industrial complex might be beyond that, but. Yeah, fascists. You know what? I really hate the argument X thing or X idea is fascist, because fascism was very much a phenomenon of that time and the places where it happened. And there wasn't really... I don't think, as opposed to communism, okay, like communism was a very well thought out, like, here's what we think about the world, and here is this economic theory that we have about things, and we're going to implement a government based on those economic principles that we've believed, right? Fascism was very much different. Fascism was like, I want power, and here is how I can manipulate people to get it. You know what I mean? So to turn around and to say that an idea today is fascist is kind of a lazy, I would say. It's lazy. It's like you don't have a good enough argument to argue against a particular policy or thing that's happening itself, and so you just throw names at it instead, right? Like, to say Keller has fascist beliefs, I think is not a very good way of going about it. What I would say is you support taking away constitutional freedoms. You have absolutely no respect at all for human rights as, you know, enshrined in the Constitution. Then the democratic state itself, that in essence fascism, owner of the government by an individual, by a group, or any controlling private power. It sounds like communism to me. I don't. I mean, there is one argument to be made that the way that fascist states ran, and I guess it was kind of ideological on their part, was like a complete marriage between the state and corporations, right? That was a thing. That the marriage of state and corporations. But like, ironically enough, that's like, who does that in the world today? China. This is China, fascist, even though they're like really the major communist country. It's all weird. But that's just the problem that you get when you're trying to make these big generalized, like our human brains, we want everything to be in these neat groups and classify things, and the world just is very rarely that simple. Any political system is really only as good or as bad. I completely disagree with that. Oh man, I could not disagree with that more, because the reality is that no matter where you go, there are shitty people. And the whole reason that you want to set up a good political system is to be able to deal with the issues that come along with people being imperfect. That's why the United States system has worked so well, because there are people in the United States that want to try and take power and do awful things and everything. But the United States Constitution and the system that we've built around it has been very effective at maintaining freedoms. And of course, that's always going to be a ongoing battle, and maybe someday we really lose that battle. But the system is incredibly important, because people are just awful. Plenty of people hate American. Yeah, but plenty of people don't have a clue what they're talking about. A lot of people attribute to American capitalism things that are not because of American capitalism. It's actually really interesting. So I was watching yesterday. Like, did you hear about all this crazy stuff going on in Portland? Yeah. So like, not only, the Proud Boys had another one of their little rallies, and Antifa showed up. Proud Boys claim that Antifa drove into their crowd with a bus that apparently was a handicap bus. And then there was members of Antifa came out of it and attacked them and ran away. And then there was another incident where there was a guy, and I think that he was belligerently waving his gun around, like he was being followed, and so he brandished his gun and threatened them. And so other people pulled their guns out and started shooting at him, and there was like a shootout. And then, ironically, well, not ironically enough, but the thing that really disturbs me is that the members of Antifa then found all of the bullets and picked them up and tried to make sure that all of the evidence was taken away so that they couldn't find who was shooting at him. Although Antifa people also claim that a off-duty police officer was shooting at him. But anyways, like, all this stuff is going on, right? And you go and you read the comments on Reddit, right? And Reddit has zero, like, there was a time when people would fight back, and it was just a battle, and just one side would lose. The issue with the way that Reddit works is it's like, say 50 people agree with a comment and 37 people disagree with the comment, then that comment is just going to have 12 upvotes, and it's still going to look good. Or, if it's one that they don't like, it's going to be negative 12 upvotes and nobody sees it, right? So the minority just gets destroyed, right? The biggest issue with Reddit, and the reason why it has become the lowest value, like the average Reddit user is worth less than any other social network. And why is that? Because minority viewpoints can't exist on the platform. And it's gotten worse since they got rid of the Donald and everything, right? So you go in the comments, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, half of the comments are like trying to say that the Proud Boys is a white supremacist organization, which is just objectively false. The leader, or I don't know if he's really the leader anymore, but he is a Cuban American black guy, right? And they've never made any kind of statements or anything to that effect that they support white supremacy or white nationalism or anything of that sort. And yet you have all of these people in the comments making absolutely, they're white supremacists. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then there's all of the comments and they're trying to point out, oh, okay, this guy, he was just trying to shoot people. He was going to shoot a handicapped guy. That's what they were saying. They were saying that he was going to shoot at this activist in a wheelchair. Which I mean, maybe they're right, but I'm a little skeptical about that one. And and they were saying, the right, they just decided to attack a handicap bus. Like, no, you chose that bus so that you could, the attempts online to try and color the conversation. That these guys, these Antifa guys, they have all of their private groups and their Discords and Facebook groups and whatnot, and they talk about it and they say, here are the things that we want to push against, and here's the things that we want, to share. And they're doing like narrative control, just like a political campaign would. Right? This happens. And in that particular case, I think when you look at Reddit, it's like really obvious that it's going on, right? But when it comes to China, there is just as much effort being put behind that. And I think so many Americans, particularly young Americans like on TikTok, do not realize that they're basically being suckered by Chinese Communist Party propaganda to attack capitalism and America and free enterprise. It's really sad how big of crybabies it gets are on Reddit. It gets pretty crazy. I never saw the point in the right-wingers going to Portland. There was a point where I felt bad for people being assaulted by Antifa, but not anymore. Well, I find it really interesting that all of that stuff happened. Not a peep about it on Patriots.win. Not a peep. They don't care about it at all. What is the main service that the U.S. economy is based on? Well, I'm not sure. Probably technology services. And why has NQ been more liquid and volatile? Well, I'm not sure that I would say that it's been more liquid, but basically the higher the indexes go, the more price movement you're going to see. I'm not sure if we could objectively call that volatile, but you definitely see a lot more price movement as a result of that, right? Transaction services, yeah, maybe. The whole the whole morph that we've seen, even just since we've started this stream, in the equity indexes is really curious. But the big story today was that they've doubled. The stock market has doubled since the pandemic, and it's the quote unquote fastest bull market ever. But I'm not surprised. From what we know about the inelastic markets, probably the Federal Reserve put in too much money. Like this taper, I think that the taper could hurt markets a little bit, but in the long run, it's probably just going to be a little tiny blip because we've moved up so high. It's like we've moved up so high that like a 20% decline from here wouldn't be significant at all. Like 20% decline in 2 weeks, and then everybody will just shrug it off and be back to buy all the time. r/atheism banned me for standing up to some underage gay kid who wanted to be open. Well, so those subreddits are very, very much enforced like ideological. It's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. I mean, everybody always criticized the Donald for doing it, but like the Donald, it was like necessary, like, because if you don't do that, then your subreddit basically gets taken over by bad actors, and there's people that are there to undermine the subreddit, no question about it, right? But I think that some of these subreddits, like Late Stage Capitalism in particular, just do it because they just can't handle somebody arguing with them. You know, like if I go on to Late Stage Capitalism and I make a comment, it's going to be at the bottom. It's going to be in the controversial section, hidden by default because it has so many downvotes. So like, why do you need to ban them? You know, it's different than when it's on the Donald and it's like the top of every thread ends up being fighting. Then nobody wants to visit that place, right? At some point, we're going to become more of an oligarchy. No. You know, it's something that I think I was really wrong about, because I was always in favor of unrestricted campaign contributions, because it meant that anybody could get their message out. And that has been true. That has been true that when you've looked at the primaries, we've had some real crazies get, you know, their message out in the Democrat and Republican primaries, right? So you can't say that your politician ain't there. A lot of people say like the media suppresses them and everything, but I think the reality is those guys never have a chance. Ron Paul never had a chance. But I think that the side effect of this has been that politicians basically have to spend all of their campaign time now fundraising, because basically the price to play has just gotten higher, and so you just have to work harder and harder to get more and more donations. Maybe it should be the case that a certain amount of political advertising on the television is free or something like that, so that the politicians really don't have to raise a whole lot of money. Like I think that it would be great if donations could be like unrestricted and everything, but now what we need to do is we need to make the cost of the campaign decrease. I think the problem with American discourse is too many people want us to stop arguing. We have to argue. The back and forth is necessary for it really is, Izzy. But I don't know if that's like some systemic thing. I think that the problem is that a lot of people on the left are more, they're not engineers. You know what I mean? The left. So for instance, a lot of the left's. Hold on a second. You know, one of the left's key constituencies is women, and I'm sorry, but women just don't argue the same way as men. Okay, you go and have a debate club, it's going to be mostly men, right? Men tend to be more disagreeable. They tend to enjoy that sort of thing a lot more. And so you have a lot of constituencies on the left that they want to play in politics because they think that playing in politics is going to give them power, but they don't actually want to play the political game. They don't want to have the arguments and have to convince people of their policy and things like that, right? Have you kind of seen that? Because I definitely see that, especially with these like these protest movements. Like these protest movements, they don't want to have to argue their case. And some would argue that, like, particularly with the woke crowd, that the reason that they don't want to argue is because they feel that playing into the arguing is supporting white supremacy, essentially, is what they kind of believe. And maybe that is where it originates from. But I say that the reason that they don't want to argue is because they can't argue effectively. So what do? They try and shut people down instead. Every social media platform misses Trump, probably. The news definitely misses them. I say even CNN seems to be turning on Joe Biden. I mean, I definitely see this thing where establishment forces are turning against Joe Biden, and I think there's a really strong chance that he doesn't finish out his term. Okay, but the reason that CNN is turning on him is because it gives them the most views, right? Today, absolute political ghost town. I'm sure that Facebook is struggling. It's really frustrating. TikTok was a place for a while where you could get young, quirky, alternative content, but even that, since it's become popular, has died down. And there really just isn't a place to really find quality stuff anymore. Like anywhere that you can go where you can find alternative stuff is just inundated by BS, like just objectively false nonsense. So it's 7:10. The E-mini had that little bit of a drop, and the treasuries did react to that, but I don't know. I kind of am seeing probably what's going to happen is the E-mini is going to have another small buy, and the treasury should come down a little bit, but I'm not sure that that's actually going to happen. Like yesterday, the treasuries didn't come down. I think it's a byproduct of voting based on who you hate. All of a sudden, pundit friends I had were temporary. They never actually cared about politics. So today, none of them want to talk about it at all. They only care when they're told to. Ran a live stream based on focused weekly Reddit topics. I don't think that... I am deeply skeptical of the ability for Reddit to help grow our channel. Anytime that I try and post something over there, it just gets buried, especially in the trading subreddits. Oh my gosh. I'm always constantly going back and forth on what is a worse source of information for trading, Reddit or the Facebook groups. We were talking a little bit of politics, because we started talking about Afghanistan. Oh man. So like when I go and I read Facebook, you got so many people that they seem to they are just absolutely dedicated to this, like some sort of technical analysis. And sometimes I'm not sure if it's that they're shilling for somebody, or if they've just attached that much of their personality to potentially a they attached that much of their personality to their trading style, but I frequently run into people on Facebook that it's like, you're just misleading people, like you just shouldn't even be allowed to post. But then when you go on Reddit, I see some of that on Reddit too, but mostly I just see on Reddit, I just see like a bunch of noobs stumbling around in the dark. Like what you talk, like this is something that happens a lot. Somebody proposes a technical indicator, and you propose that technical indicator doesn't work, and the response to that is, well, you just have to let your runners win. Your winners run. Your winners have to be bigger than your right. Okay, it's like, okay, what trader doesn't know that you don't have to win every time, that you can win a minority of the time, but if your winners are larger than your losers, then you can still make money? Everybody freaking knows that, dingbat. The problem is that the win rate that you get off of that strategy when you let your runners go that far is not high enough to make up for it. You don't get enough on your winners to make up for the win rate, right? Like those two things. And it's like, you would think that if you're like an actual trader that you would know this, but I think that the reality is that like the majority of the people posting there have been trading for less than a year. Even degenerate gamblers know that, yeah. You're absolutely right that the Donald Trump supporters disengaged. It wasn't even just that. It was like the Donald being taken off of Reddit. If they were still on Reddit, it would maybe be different. But the Donald being taken off of Reddit and going to its own website, and that website just turning to shit, has caused a lot of people to disengage, because there is a portion of the right that pushes conspiracy theories. Like their roots really, and the smart people just don't want to deal with it. So I don't know what's going to happen. The right doesn't have a place anymore on the internet. This is exactly what we were worried about. They were successful, right? They basically bullied the right off of the internet. People are told you can have a 90% win rate. Oh my gosh, that's the one that drives me nuts. Ayo. Every time I see somebody pushing like a 90% win rate strategy, I think that they're trying to scam people. That's my take. The Donald was a shithole. There was times when it was great. It's funny because you'd think it'd be the young right that would push the nutty stuff, but no, it's the boomers. Yeah, it really is the boomers. Well, like when I look at these Q people, that ends up being people in their late, like 40s. They're not millennials. They're Gen Xers, really, but it really is. It's so weird. The freaking internet. I don't know. Q is 4chan for, well, it started on 4chan. I'm still kind of interested in this conspiracy theory that the whole Q thing was a ploy by 10chan or whatever it is, to generate more interest in their website. Let's talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't recall her pushing a conspiracy theory lately, but oh my gosh, I don't like her. I mean, it's kind of tough because sometimes she'll say something that's like really very true, but like just her whole attitude is like, I'm gonna be as big of an asshole to the left as I can, and that's like her whole stick, and I just can't stand it. What the left fails to understand is that if you marginalize the extreme right, you create civil unrest that can't be monitored. CrossFitters are generally Do you know any CrossFitters? I don't know, man. You know what? I think that in the beginning in CrossFit, in the beginning, the CrossFit hate was justified. Okay. But what happened very quickly, and this goes back to systems. I think that CrossFit is a kind of a good and bad example of systems, because CrossFit came in and they said, well, what we want to do is we want to have a sport. Like people will exercise and will get more out of their exercise if it's a sport. So we just need to create a sport that's about all-round fitness. Is actually a brilliant idea. And because of that, there were things there in CrossFit in the beginning that, did not last, that the CrossFit community essentially rejected because their need for performance showed that those things weren't good for them and didn't work. And so the CrossFit community kind of like shut off those things for the in large. And so a lot of the like the culty aspects of it kind of like faded away. But on the split side of it, number one, the guy that was running the CrossFit Games is a lunatic. He's crazy. So you still had people that in power kind of pushing dumb stuff. And there's this other problem, which is, well, I don't even know if it's a problem, but it's just like what you get from the community when you're doing CrossFit is so much better than anything else that you're gonna get in the rest of your life, that it's kind of hard to interact with other people and not be like front and center. It really is. It's really kind of a thing. And so I a lot of people didn't like them because of that, but I don't think that CrossFit is quite so bad anymore. They still teach a lot of stuff about Olympic weightlifting that's nonsense, but that's not very effective. But the people themselves, I've generally found them to be I've enjoyed being around them. But I slam the weights in my driveway. I don't know if you can hear it from the whole block, but when I'm lifting, it's there. You'll hear it. Man, I had the AC was on earlier, but I'm already getting hot again. Like, I'm going to start sweating here. What's happening with the dislikes? I guess somebody didn't like that I talked politics. They want us out of Afghanistan, I guess. Maybe Salim doesn't want us in Afghanistan today. It's annoying, yeah. Yeah, sorry. Why don't you put down some camp blankets? So it's actually an interesting thing. So the first thing is that you cannot drop a 200-pound weight and it not make a sound, and unless you put like total padding on it, right? But if you put total padding on it, then it's a big burden is the problem on that side, right? So a lot of these lifts are like, you're gonna lift it, you're gonna drop it, you're gonna it bounces off the ground, and then you quickly set up and lift it again, and you'll do that like 3 times. Right. So if you have to drop it onto a blanket and then roll it off of the blanket every time, that's kind of annoying. So like at our gym, they have pads that you can drop it on to dampen the noise. But the reality is that Olympic weightlifting is just noisy. But I mean, come on, I do it at 5:00 in the evening. It's not like it's not that huge of a disruption. Totally understand why people might find it annoying, but this is kind of just like what Uzi is doing, is like, well, you just kind of have to deal with it. Control the release. It's some, on lighter weights I can, but once I get over 60 kilograms, trying to catch it before it hits the ground is pretty, no, you're not going to do that. You mean weights? No, Uzi. Listen, I don't think you understand how Olympic weightlifting works. The whole thing is about power, right? You are using power. It's almost like you're jumping. It's almost like it's the same kind of power like when you jump, right? To lift a weight from the ground over your head. So yeah, when you're getting to your max weight, you cannot slowly bring it back down. You cannot. It's not possible. You have to drop it. You can put the word Olympic before it, but it doesn't change the fact that it requires more strength and control. But it's not necessarily about strength, it's about power. Do you see? Like, this is what makes Olympic weightlifting an interesting sport, is that it requires the highest degree of power. Highest degree of power. That's also why CrossFit, incorporated it into their routine, because the Olympic lifts are the best way to develop power, right? So we're talking about, like, if you're going to run, right, you could run with a sled, but the power is going to be like, how quickly can you accelerate off of the front line? Like guys, sprinters with a lot of power, those are going to be the 100-meter sprinters, right? That's a very, very, very different thing from doing 10 reps with a dumbbell. It's a completely different kind of exercise. We think, because they're weights, we just think of them as weightlifting, but it's a completely different kind of exercise. They're developing completely different attributes in your muscles, right? Lifting the weight with the dumbbell 10 times, allows you to increase your, what would we say, like, working capacity. You get a larger muscle because it induces hypertrophy, right? Whereas Olympic weightlifting is generally trying to increase the amount of fast twitch muscle fiber that you have. If that makes sense. That's also, by the way, why Olympic weightlifting is so heavily dependent on your genetics. If you have a lot of fast twitch muscle fiber, and it's very much genetic at what percentage of your muscle fiber is fast twitch versus slow twitch, you're going to be a lot more effective at Olympic weightlifting, which I am not. Weightlifting makes more ass. I've never heard that before. But I had these issues long before I started weightlifting. So, the ulcerative colitis thing is like, yeah. I really want to be long these treasury yields, but this market is just not moving. Would it really be worth it for me to be long like 1.266? If I put an order in, I think I would have wanted to have been long below 1.226. 26.6 basis points. Now it's probably too late, but like, is the E-mini actually going to do something today? Because it's just like, this market seems so freaking dead. Yeah, CrossFit is trash. I don't know. I really think that so here's something I find really interesting about the internet. Okay, just like, watch what you see on the internet, and you'll find that this is actually true. You would think that because of the live nature of the internet and everything, that they should always be up on what the newest and latest information is. But that is very much often not the case, because what happens is newbies will hear a piece of advice, right? And since they're not actually experts in the subject and they didn't come to this knowledge through firsthand experience, they just pick up what other people tell them and just repeat it and continue on. Right. And so you run into situations a lot where there is very outdated information that continues to be perpetuated in online communities. This happens a lot in music production. Like, in the early days, like before 2000, Fruity Loops was a DAW that everybody just would absolutely totally make fun of. Like, if you use Fruity Loops, you were an amateur, had no clue what you're doing, it sounded awful, etc., etc., etc. And that's because it was like Fruity Loops was like this really amateur implementation, and then you had things that were like really professional quality, like, you know, you use it in a movie studio kind of stuff like Cubase and Pro Tools. But what happened was the computers and the software continued to develop, right? So now there's almost zero difference in audio quality between the major digital audio workstations, but people still tend to make fun of Fruity Loops, right? When it's a pretty good DAW these days. Not as good as some alternatives, but you get what I mean. And so what I'm kind of trying to say is that a lot of the hate for CrossFit is kind of like outdated. Like, CrossFit has changed a lot since everybody developed a hate for it, right? For starters, a lot of CrossFit affiliates decided that it wasn't worth it to have the name CrossFit, because really what CrossFit is like promoting the name that we're CrossFit. So they just say, oh, we're not gonna call it CrossFit. We're still gonna be doing the same stuff, but we're not gonna call it CrossFit. And they divorced themselves from the CrossFit, right? The other side of it is that one of the head honchos over at CrossFit said some politically incorrect things, and so a lot, and not all of these places are right-leaning places. Like, there's this assumption that CrossFit is right-leaning, but I'm not convinced that it actually is. And so they left. So the CrossFit sport, one, it's not nearly as popular as it was, but it's a very different place now. It's a very different place now. Well, they did sell there. I should have just bought it at 26.6. What would that have been? My now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's close. It's close. What can you lift in the bench press? Well, so first of all, I don't bench. Yeah, when Olympic weightlifting, we don't bench. It's not really upper body at all. In fact, I think that the most I've ever benched was like twice my body weight. I think. No, not twice my body weight. So I think that the most I ever got to was probably 200. Not that much. I can't bench press very much at all. I can squat pretty good. I can squat 330. It's like everything that we do is legs. Maybe you can see it's not. I don't have huge arms. I have average arms. I have very, very small wrists. You can see how dainty my wrist is. My body is probably built for being a marathon runner. No, not 330 kilograms. I was converting that to pounds. I can do 155 kilos, which comes out to be like 330, 340 pounds. But I'm not that good at it. The most I can clean and jerk is I can almost do 100 kilograms, which is like 220 pounds, right? That's not all that great. I'm no good at it at all. Some of it is genetics. Maybe I don't apply myself hard enough. I don't know. I do think that the genetics are a huge factor, though. Well, so this is kind of odd. It's kind of like the opposite of yesterday, isn't it? Like, everything is selling. So is the S&P 500 selling because of the treasuries going on here, or the treasuries like what they seem to be doing their own thing right now at the moment? The E-mini hasn't done anything significant. It's hard for me. Like, I would really like to go along with this move that we're getting in the treasuries, because it was like the trade that I wanted to make, but it's too late. I missed it. 800-pound deadlifts. Real, one of the things that's really curious to me. Ooh, look at them go 4K at 02. Hold on. Wow. Okay. I'm mad. I'm so mad I missed that. But I mean, I guess I shouldn't be. I probably did the right thing for my trading, but okay. So like one of the things is that strength is not really related to muscle size per se. Like the muscle size really comes from hypertrophy, which means that the muscle cells themselves get larger, largely because they're holding a lot of nutrients and stuff to use when you start lifting, right? So when you get stronger, what tends to happen is you get more cells. So people that are really strong, it's like really dense muscle fiber, so you can't necessarily tell from looking at them. So some of the strongest people in the world, when they're wearing regular clothes, you would not know that they're the strongest person in the world, except for these Olympic guys because they're taking steroids. And another thing is like levers. Like you have, you're kind of like a short and stout guy. Your limbs are shorter. You can generally drive more power. Short, thick bones. They can hold a lot of muscle. Jeez. I just totally missed out on this move. Where is it on a relative basis though compared to yesterday? Okay, so the overnight low is 01. 01 was the overnight. And that's kind of where we ended. Well, no, actually it was... No, this is about where we were. Right here is about where we were yesterday when they bought the treasuries up. Suddenly the market wakes up. Well, I don't know if I would say that the market is waking up. The treasury has. At this point, it's... I don't know why. Maybe I'm just being silly. But I'm not 100% sure if this move in the treasury is like, can continue. The E-mini, look, it's one of the tightest ranges we've actually seen off of the open for quite some time. It's to the downside, but it may flip around. Majoring Taylor Green, who lifts, is on steroids? You think so? Yeah, another friend who was 5'4" in the bodybuilder. Yeah, it's insane. You can say that the ZB is at its first target. Yeah. Like the issue that I have with this is one, I did kind of see some signs of like stress in the book here in the 10-year. You kind of saw it did this thing when I was going, what happened was they sold 4K into it, and then they took like the next two prices. I think the 4K was at 02.5, right? They went to, and now they're reverting. So it did end up being what I thought it was, but there was just so much momentum that it drifted quite a bit farther first. So, that was also a little bit of why I was like, I don't know if I can really... what are the chances that it slides all the way back up, especially if the E-mini decides that today is a sell day? Arm wrestling is a surprising amount of technique. Yeah, I'm not very good at arm wrestling either. Man. It's really like my wrists are really tiny. I mean, I don't know how you can tell, but we just have tiny wrists. My little brother he's been working his upper body, and he's developed some pretty big guns. If he was like, you know, doing the you know, dehydration and all of that for a bodybuilding contest, you know, you would be like, wow, he's huge. But his wrist is just as tiny as mine. Men have hemorrhoids because they drink. What? Really? I've never heard anything like that. Glad I don't drink. I've never heard that view. I'm not sure if I believe that or not. We need to see. That sounds like something we should verify. Well, even like O2 half was like the lower end of this was like, wow. Actually, 04 was where the bottom kind of fell out. It was very curious the way that they just came in and made that move. Let's see here. So the dollar is seeing some strength here. That seems to coincide with the move. And the Japanese yen is moving down. I see. So this move in the interest rates may not necessarily be the move that I'm looking for, right? Because it probably has more to do with currencies right now than it does like the Fed taper. It sounds like a plausible theory, but it also sounds like something that if it was true that more people would know about. Let's check Twitter here. Yeah, I need to work out today. Yesterday I didn't. I keep running into this thing where oftentimes when I get to that time of day, I do not feel very good. Did you hear the plate fall in the background? It was just a plate. I think it's okay. Maybe I should check. Yeah, it was just a plate hitting the ground. It didn't break. What to do? So the oil is taking a little move, piercing through 67. E-mini testing the open. My mother left me alone in the kitchen with a screwdriver, and I unhinged every screw on the cabinets. Really? Wait, how old were you when you did that? Well, I still see a little bit of a tear here in the 10-year. Like, I don't think it's healed yet, but I don't think it would take that much to dig out of the hole. You know, like if the 5-year is really going to push, it would go. Okay, so there's the E-mini. Recovering the open. You were under 4, huh? Because I'm like, I don't think that my kids, I don't think that my 8-year-old could undo the screws on the cabinet. You're under 4 and you didn't jam it into a socket. That's all. I do vaguely remember as a kid getting electrocuted, but I look back and I'm like, how did I do that? I must have had to have really stuck my finger into the hole. That didn't sound right. I'm not convinced by this. The market doesn't seem to be convinced by this recovery in the E-mini yet. That kind of looks like they're kind of threatening, like, okay, like you had your try, you're done, and now we're gonna move back down. Oh, it's doing this, yeah, it's doing this white candle thing. Oh, you hate it when it does that in the E-mini, where you'll get like a big down candle and then a big up candle, and you think that there's significant moves and they end up being nothing. When you were a kid, Uzi was a kid. The neighborhood I lived in wasn't fully constructed, and I used to steal plumbing from the sites and bring it home to pop ties together and run water through. Interesting. And now plumbing is one of your useful skills. There you go. When I was a kid, they were still building a lot of houses. And one of these houses, they had dug up the driveway because they were going to put heated coils underneath of the driveway. And it had just rained. And so that whole pool was like a big mud pool. And I got stuck in it. And my dad had to come and rescue me because I was up to my waist, which apparently, even though I had reached the bottom of the pit, so I wasn't going to fall any further, apparently there's no way for you to get out by yourself once you're to that point. Yes. I didn't say anything about this headline, but Trading Floor Audio was talking about Dr. Fauci has a 2022 timeline for COVID fight. They're saying that could be very problematic for Joe Biden, as it would mean that the pandemic could drag on deep into a midterm election year. We need a setup that stops us from trading this type of price action. I strongly believe that day traders can only profit from clean directional moves. Well, I'm not going to say that they can only profit from clean directional moves, but a clean directional move is definitely a better kind of a trade for a retail trader. And the difficulty is definitely knowing when it's actually going to move. But one thing that I do know makes a difference is if there's actually a reason for it to move. So, like, honestly, what is the driver in DES right now? I mean, especially since they had such a big update yesterday. It's in the middle of the summer, and we got FOM. We've got the Jackson Hole on Friday. Not really any big economic news today. Like, Yeah, there's not this. This is kind of why I was overly cautious in the treasury. I could have caught a really good trade there, right? Almost a 20 tick move there in their rates, but I was too cautious. But I don't actually know why it moved, other than something came in from the Japanese yen. Gamma Trader just says, I don't know why people bother with Ninja Trader. Well, the reason that you use Ninja Trader is because it has the best ecosystem. My brother-in-law's brother, who flew in hot air balloon into electrical wires, he did not survive? What? Oh, by the way, speaking of that, you guess what came in the mail today? So it's look at this. You have to look at the screen. You're gonna have to look at the screen. Okay, look what came in the mail yesterday. Huh? Yeah. What do you think? What do you think? Am I an e-boy now? Can you see that the lights are? You can kind of see that the lights are flashing. You can't see it on the stream very well, but they blink. Perfect fit. OnlyFans when. So it was so funny. I got it, and so I went over and I gave it to my wife. And like she had to pull her phone out to see what she looked like with it, but like she was like, this is so ridiculous. But then she put it on, and like you could see this moment when she was looking at it, that she was like, I'm really cute with this on, like I really like this. It was so funny. But ultimately too weird and degenerate for her, I think. You Star Wars boys are so weird. Oh man, on TikTok there's like Star Wars TikTok, and they have like their own Star Wars character cosplay that some of them are so weird. What I need to do is I need to get her purple ones. I need to get her purple cat ears, then she might wear them. We wear them, and then we'll tell her to go and get on TikTok and make a nice TikTok. I'm sure that she would do well. use this as the thumbnail. Oh, it's actually harder to so it hurts because it's not on there all the way with the headphones. But I've been having problems with the thumb. So let me show you. This is so weird. Like here on the YouTube thing, if I go to edit. So like they have this new stuff, you can customize it and you can add a redirect so that it will take you to my latest video afterwards. But guess what? It only gives me one video. It only lets me use this one video. What the heck? Can't. And I think the thumbnail. Oh, I guess I could change it. But I don't want to. I don't think that would make a good thumbnail. Oh man! Oh, you guys liked that way too much. I think you guys liked that way too much. I wish you could see it blinking. Here, I know what I can do. There you go. Now you can see that they blink, right? Huh? There you go. They're pink. There you go. Oh man. on why only one thumbnail. By the way, we don't have like clips or anything on YouTube yet, do we? Nope, not yet. Not yet. Someday YouTube will give it to us, I'm sure. Oh, maybe. Hopefully, this is enough to get the 4 people that disliked the video to change their minds. You're going viral. Day trader becomes e-boy. That's what we should set the name of the day trader becomes e-boy. Day trader becomes e-boy. Apparently, I woke up too early this morning. Alex, the kids quietly walks away. Really, I thought that the high school crowd was totally into this. They're still talking about Ninja Trader in the Equity Index's channel. Cute kitty. If you suddenly discovered you could gain a huge audience by dressing up and wearing costumes every day to trade, would you? Yeah, I think I would. I mean, I wouldn't cross-dress, but ridiculous costume maybe. That would be a lot of investment. I guess the wife knows you too well to say anything. Well, I mean, I showed it to her yesterday, right? I remember we got them for her. We were joking about it, that she should have a pair of cat ears. The ears are adorable. Randy. Oh man, it looks like they're supposed to be cat ears. Did they look like mouse ears? Seth has an only. You know what? I've been thinking I should have an OnlyFans account. You know, like I've been thinking that. Well, so here's the conundrum: is apparently Patreon pays out more than OnlyFans because they don't take as high of a percentage of it. But my understanding is that OnlyFans has better tools. But since I haven't ever subscribed to an OnlyFans, don't really know how it works. Maybe I need to go and find an e-girl and subscribe for a month to see how that works out, so that I can decide if I want to use it. Free sub to one yesterday, because it seems like that the tools to interact with your community on OnlyFans are a lot better than what you get from Patreon. And that's what I'm interested in. They have a decent social flow, yeah. So like the thing that irks me is we have, should I say irks me, but like we have such a great time while we're here on stream, but outside of stream, we don't really have much. And like, there's the Discord, but the Discord ends up being a completely different group of people. But, you know, I want it to be like, I want to have more interaction, particularly in terms of like trying to verify and test different theories and trade ideas and stuff like that. They do want to promote their active members. Yeah, this is the other thing is like, it's really, you really have to do all of the legwork yourself with Patreon, you know? So if I don't say anything about it, people don't really pick it up. You know, like the first time I had thousands of people watching and I mentioned my Patreon and I got like 100 subscribers. But then when the pandemic hit, a lot of them left because they couldn't afford it anymore. Similar to YouTube algo, if people like your channel. Oh, is it really? So there is some amount of discovery on their platform? Yeah, maybe I need to take a more serious look at it. I think this, I find this thing about them getting rid of sexually explicit content really interesting, because everybody on the internet is convinced that it's going to be the end of the platform, and I actually think that it's going to be a big positive for them, because the majority of their revenue probably comes from like cosplay pictures and like nudes and lewds, and not actual hardcore porn. So I think that the amount of creators that are actually affected by this is probably really low, like 5 to 10%. And then there have about potentially orders of magnitude larger audience that they're potentially going to pick up. So like everybody's leaving them for dead, when I think that they could be very successful, especially since it seems like that they're more than just a payment processor, that they actually have some features and stuff in it that make it an effective platform. Main page has kind of offerings of other memberships to anyone that has an account. I'm gonna have to go and look around. Here's what I do is I will tell my wife to find a, oh, okay, so the interest rates are coming back here now. See, this is why I did not follow it. This is exactly why I did not follow it, because I wasn't. So is this the 6J move? Yeah, it is. It is just the currency that's moving it. Oh, that's so interesting. I'm going to turn the lights back on and take the thing off because it's starting to hurt my head. It's not too bad, but it would definitely be more comfortable if I had hair. I'll tell you what, I'll make my today's TikTok, I'll have it on, and I won't say anything about it in the TikTok. Interactive Brokers sucks. Their platform sucks and is subpar. Anyways, I should have my wife go in and select an OnlyFans for us to subscribe to see what it's like. believe the successful OnlyFans members have flow on their pages to involve other less subbed members and allow more content for their subs as well as exposure for new members or similar interests of men. I'm not sure. Yeah, like the thing that I would want is one, you get the Bitcoin charts, and maybe some other things. Maybe there's and access to the NinjaTrader indicators, and then increased interaction with me. Of course, you can always just message me on Discord, but okay, that really came all the way back. Wowee. New York had a new governor for about a week. Yeah, they do. It's the first female governor in New York, right? Man, are they gonna dump through the highs now after all of that? Okay, like this. So this is something that always tripped me up in the treasuries. Like before the pandemic, when I was trading them much more actively, when moves are happening in the treasuries, primarily because of currency moves, the action can seem really nonsensical, for like random even. But I'm glad that if I had taken that original trade, I would have hoped that I would have gotten out of it by now, right? They're talking about trading platforms, and once somebody was saying, well, I don't understand why NinjaTrader is so popular. It's because it has the best ecosystem. Like, why do you need any of those things? Because the stuff that comes with the platform doesn't help you. I'm surprised that it took as long as it did to get Kumo out, by the way, since you bring that up. You guys are saying, like, what if we had, dressed up and everything and it got more viewers? But do you see, I had the ears on and now, slightly less viewers. You know what? This week is the people are on vacation. People are definitely on vacation. The real question is, how are we going to handle it when Kamala Harris becomes president? Because nobody likes her. like they want to get rid of Joe Biden, but I don't. They're not so sure that Kamala Harris would be an improvement. Because you know what I think most people would say, and the kind of the movers and shakers that, you know, that's what they can be thinking. Movers and shakers in the Democrat Party that might encourage Joe to quit. So now that we've come back up here, I'm looking at the 6J. You know, I for some reason I have this inclination that the 6J is going to go down again, but I don't know why I'm saying that. I have no reason to believe that it would do either or. But over here in the Treasury, they still look kind of heavy. Like, look at the bid at 04 half pole there, like that. That could actually be, well, no, maybe not. I'm gonna say that might be a spot to try and catch a fill. It's not really enough volume to really try it, but it really is. Can you believe that there's still an hour left? We haven't really been open for that long, really, have we? Well, I want to recenter things here. So they basically like retraced 50% of it and kind of died down now. That wouldn't be a bad setup for a continuation kind of a move. Like I could have gone long at the open here again and been up, you know, a few ticks at least. Let's see here. House will set September 27th or 28th as a deadline for passing the infrastructure, says Representative McGovern. We'll vote today on the rule that automatically it drops the $3.5 trillion budget, which I believe is not going to pass, right? Stellar U.S. corporate earnings season expected to lift S&P 500 by another 8% through the end of the year, analysts at Wells Fargo said Tuesday, implying a near 28% jump for the benchmark equities index in 2021. Wow. That would be spectacular, but the melt up is real. How do you do it so long? Taliban says no extension and no more Afghans leaving either. Oh, ow. It does kind of seem like they want to keep them below the 04, but when I say they, it seems like that the market overall wants to stay below 04, but I don't know. It still looks like it's largely Japanese yen correlation. I don't necessarily want to trade the Japanese yen by proxy, you know. And the E-mini has still just been trash. I mean, like there was a decent sell on the open and then they recovered, but not even 5-point range, and it's just been really tight, really wide candles with lots of wicks. Like it is just absolute terrible action in the S&P 500. This is the sort of action that index traders really hate. This could just be a really slow session. It's funny, it's like it's not a stressful day, but apparently I'm sweating hard. Do we see? Yep, you can actually. Might have to go change my shirt after this stream or I'm gonna stink all day. Pfizer says FDA's approval is pushing some. So here's my question: does Pfizer being the first approved vaccine make it the best vaccine, or do you think Moderna is better? I think everybody's agreed that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine isn't as good. Do you have a tiny fan? Yeah, but then it would make noise. What I actually do is I have an air filter and I'll put it in the door and that will blow cool air in. Something, maybe my laptop is hot and that's generating. Sometimes I'll leave the laptop on and it's got something going that will generate heat and that's why it gets hot in here. But see this right here. In fact, I'm gonna try it. It's a little risky because the market is just, there's just not the volume. See, even at 400 in line, it might be difficult to get a fill. Oh, hey, there you go. I did get a fill. Well, not necessarily the way you want it to tick, but it's okay. All right. So it's interesting that when they tick, it will like briefly stack 1,000 and then that disappears. No Way Home official trailer update. I haven't seen that yet. I hear that William Dafoe is back as the Green Goblin or whatever. That should be good. That should be wicked. Okay, the 5-year ticked up. French Interior Minister says legalizing cannabis just won't work because gangs making 100 pounds a day wouldn't agree to be regulated and run a legal dispensary. Okay. Why is Trading Floor Audio tweeting that? Whatever. New U.S. home sales out? Did I miss something? Oh, yeah, it was at the top of the hour. Was spot 7 versus spot 6-9. That's not when they moved back up, though, was it? Nah. Oh, actually, that was when they moved all the way back up. How come was the news squawk saying that? I just wasn't paying attention. I haven't been very on the ball this week with that sort of stuff, have I? What's my deal? Although, if the number was spot 7 versus spot 6, why would that Richmond Fed Composite Index was 9 versus 24? That's probably why the treasuries spiked back up. Oh, hey, I got filled. Hey, there you go. It's been a while since I caught my one tick like that. How long did it take? 1 minute? Hey, I'm okay with 1 minute. I'm okay with 1 minute. I'm happy about that trade. I'm very happy about that trade. Though I paused I come over here and I still have the picture of me with the cat ears on. Do you want to trade full time at some point? Well, how do I put this? I am never going to be in the situation where I'm trading and that is like my only source of revenue. No, I don't think that will ever happen. First of all, trading is just a very unreliable source of income, especially retail trading. Second of all, I'm always going to want to be doing like content creation of some sort. But I do hope that maybe someday we'll get to the point where we're doing well enough with between the YouTube and trading and maybe another small business that I'm only working for myself. That would be nice. It kind of makes me wonder, like, can my channel become successful enough that it could be my primary source of income? I mean, I go and I look at other channels and I see what's possible, and it certainly can happen. But for some reason, as of late, I've kind of started to feel like, well, yeah, but because of how niche my channel is, that might not ever happen to me. I don't know. That maybe I just need to be trying harder. I don't know. We'll see. I'm really interested to see how this earn to trade video does. In the long run, if it really picks up the search traffic or not. So I would expect it to be a little bit lower because I haven't posted a video in like a month. But next week, by the way, the video we'll be posting the Gary Norton interviews, and I was going back through that and it was like, because I need to like, I was gonna like edit it because I recorded for like 4 hours. Okay, 2 of that was like off the record though. But I'm thinking now that I might just have to like make it a 4-part video. Like I'll split it up into 4 parts or something. But I that should be out next Monday. Yeah, and the current market, yep. Oh, when you hear the baby crying. You thought his market making, well, so just wait and see what he's got. Well, next, so he goes into a pretty good, pretty thorough explanation of what's going to be in his new course. So you can decide then. Baby Asher sounds more like toddler Asher now. Does he? No, he does not talk at all. So my parents say that I didn't talk until I was almost 3. So he doesn't say anything beyond dada. He certainly seems to understand a lot. You can ask him to bring you things and ask him questions and stuff, but like he can't even make the sounds most of the time. No, I'm just going to post it to him. I'm just going to post him the Have you checked his hearing? Oh, he can definitely hear. He can definitely hear. Like I said, I can ask him a question. Like if I ask him, where did my phone go? He will go and find my phone and bring it back to me. Every time. That sort of a thing. He understands. He just has no interest in actually speaking. In fact, if you try and get him to say a word that he can say, like mama or dada, he refuses to do it. It's like the parts of his brain that control his mouth and make the sounds isn't there yet. It's funny how hard it is to check for hearing when someone is not an adult or can talk. Yeah, sure. But from what my parents told me, I'm sure that he's going to be very much like me, and that he will probably not talk for another good 6 to 9 months. There you post a video. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, Jazz. I don't pay any attention to that. I have no interest. Oh, is he making videos about me again? I see. Well, we don't pay attention. This guy, he just goes around and tries to generate drama and obtain free press by starting crap with the other people. Well, he probably was talking about me, but he lies and distorts and is very dishonest. That's why we just don't pay attention to him. We just ignore him. He's a nut job. There you go. He did like a whole week of stuff about me one time, but he doesn't say anything. They say that Jigsaw is a scam, which I think is hilarious. Channel wars. It's not. I mean, it's not. I'm not just gonna ignore him. Yeah, it's not like he ever comes and says, "Hey, I'm doing this video about you. Do you want to comment on it?" Or anything? No, it's not like that. You know, if a reputable person like maybe Spencer Cornelia or CoffeeZilla would want to talk to me about it, like we could talk and we could do the whole big long spill, because I could tell you so much crap about that guy. But otherwise, I am just not interested in that drama at all. We do our thing here on our channel. I have never made any kinds of claims. The assertion that there's something fraudulent is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, Jigsaw is a scam. Like what? It's a trading platform that you can execute trades on that works, and it shows you information that you can't see in other platforms. How is that a scam? That you have a platform that works and it does what they say it does? That's nonsense, right? Oh, has he been posting stuff in his Discord? If he posts stuff like that in his Discord, then you should take screenshots of them and send them back to me so that I can add it to my long list of, trove of information that we collect on him for the day that the, FTC eventually comes after him. Because he fails to understand it. Well, different. No, it probably is talking about me. You don't understand. That guy has been obsessed with me. Because it used to be, we were the first ones to do this, really. We had been doing this since 2017, really, and nobody else really streamed futures trading, right? So he is all about the marketing. So he came in and tried harassing us very early on, and I didn't put up with it at all. I banned him, and then ever since then, he's just been absolutely obsessed. Absolutely obsessed. There's not more than 6 months goes along, and then I hear some drama where they're talking about us. But he goes after other people too. He tries going after bigger people because he's trying to. It's all marketing, right? It's all marketing for his completely worthless trading system. The thing that I think is so funny is that he's still on NinjaTrader 7. Like, he claims to be a programmer and stuff, but like if he was, he would change it over to NinjaTrader 8 because he'd know that it'd be a lot easier to maintain in NinjaTrader 8. But I suspect that he doesn't actually understand how any of the indicators that he's stolen from people actually work, and so he doesn't have the skills to convert it to NinjaTrader 8. But can you actually use it on 8 now? Because for the longest time, they were still only offered them on NinjaTrader 7. You missed where we had the cat ears. You want to see the cat ears? Right? We have the cat ears. That's why we had that joke. That's what that was about. It doesn't work correct for his indicators. Okay. I've never seen your name before, Jazz. How do you know so much about it? So another thing that will happen is he'll send people to kind of try and trap people or run some sort of a scam on it. It never ends up working, but he sends people, and you seem to know too much, and I'm suspicious. You've actually used them, Caleb? Really? Yeah, he sends people to harass me all the time, yeah. So a couple of months ago, there was some people like, they were saying, oh yeah, like, we've realized that he's a scammer and like we want to try and take him down. And they were saying all this stuff, but they kept trying to, they wanted to say, why don't you use his indicators and then stream them? Which is like the dumbest thing ever. Okay, like, it's nonsense. None of it helps you. Why would you want to stream somebody else's indicators that don't work? That doesn't hurt them. That just helps them promote their system that says, oh, it's so great that it's worth streaming or something. So that's obviously a scam. That's somebody trying to trick you into doing something. That's, of course, what they're trying to trick you into doing is like absolutely ridiculous. I don't know why they would think that would work. But I had that sort of thing happen more than once. But I also very, very, very frequently, every few months or so, get a deluge of people start messaging me about basically being scammed by him. One time it was, well, I was promoting it and I promoted it for him, and then when it came time to pay, he didn't pay me. The other ones were just like, I said the wrong thing and he banned me, or I'd been trading it for such a long time and it wasn't working, and I found out all of the problems with it, and now I know that it's just a big scam. Yeah, I get that all the freaking time. Like, it's absolutely astounding to me that the FEC, or the Federal Trade, FTC, isn't it? The Federal Trade Commission or whatever, that kind of manages like people making claims and things like that they haven't done something. It's astounding to me that NinjaTrader themselves haven't done something, because some of his marketing absolutely violates their NinjaTrader ecosystem rules. So it will eventually catch up to him, but who knows how long it's going to take. And that's why it's kind of like we just ignore him because it doesn't matter. We do our own thing. Had a 35. Yeah. The biggest one was he was making all hay about his system, but it was only like taking one tick at a time out of the yes. It was like make one tick and risk 16 or something like that. And then one day his algorithm went wild. Like he was publishing the data to somewhere. And then one day the algorithm went wild and just lost the whole account. And then he was like, oh, it was their fault. When it was kind of like, well, this is exactly what we all said was going to happen because it's taking such a teeny tiny little reward for such a huge risk. Eventually, when you get into a volatile market, he's going to get destroyed. Yeah, it was collective too. That's right. See, I don't want to talk about it, but then you guys say stuff, and I'm like, well, this happened and this happened. Like I can't help it. Because it's so funny to talk about. Like it's so weird to me. Explain this to me, right? Like I come in and I'm just a guy that started to stream his trading. It was part of a contest. People picked it up. I run with it. I really enjoy making the channel, right? I make content. All of the content that I provide to you guys, I give you guys proof. I give you evidence. When I talked about news, I showed you the specific trades and I showed you the broker statements for the trades when I did it, right? And I explain exactly how it works. This is all like empirical evidence that you can verify for yourself. Like if I show you an indicator, I show you the back test. It almost always shows that indicators don't work. But, I gave you guys the R2 one, for instance. That was pretty cool. And these edges that you can pull in the order book, this isn't like some sort of a over a certain percentage of time over X, you'll get this percentage. Like when I explain it to you that, hey, if you can hit this 65.13, you can sell into it just as it leaves, it will tick down and you will be short with the opportunity to buy back at break even. And that helps you trade. Like, that just from that explanation right there and the logic in it, that has edge, right? 100% has edge. So for somebody to come in and say like that's a scam or something, I think is just absolutely ridiculous, right? Here I'm going in and I've done everything that I can to be like really responsible, not sell people on anything, not make any kind of exorbitant claims or anything like that. And not, encourage people to take, because futures trading is not suitable for all investors, right? And then you got these shitheads out here that break every rule, make all of these huge claims, sell things for thousands and thousands of dollars, and then they try and turn around and claim that I'm the scammer and not them, when they're like offering a trading system that is absolutely worthless and that you can piece together from indicators that are already out there, and he's offering it for thousands of bucks. Like, what the hell? What the hell? And then he has the audacity to call me a scammer. It's absolutely ridiculous because it's just it verifiably false what he's saying. It's a little personal to me. He burned me on Discord, and you should see how he greets new members. Everybody is well, I mean, they're talking about Finny Mini. Apparently he did a video about me yesterday. But we posted a video. He must not be getting enough publicity from trying to harass. Who was he trying? He was trying to harass Ross. He was trying to harass Ross, right? He must not have gotten enough publicity from that. So now he's come back to try and come after me. Yeah. Who knows? I think that really he just can't help it. Like, the issue with this kind of person from the psychological profile, from what I can see, he has some sort of like psychopath or narcissistic, tendency. and it seems like he has suffered from some sort of narcissistic injury. And me banning him, basically him coming in and me going, well, you're not, you're saying stuff that's wrong, and you're not contributing, and you're breaking channel rules and harassing people, so I banned you right away. And the fact that he came in and he was banned within 30 minutes, I think was like a narcissistic injury to him, and so he like almost can't forget it. It's like he's just obsessed. His Discord is... I was told that you're not allowed to message each other over there now. That if some... Oh, sorry, we had a little short disconnection there, but I think we're okay now. Suspicious. No, I think it was just a coincidence. Yeah, back. No exaggeration. If you read about King Nebuchadnezzar's demanding people to bow before the image when the trumpet sounds, you will get a feel for what it's like. The room is filled with sycophants. It's, well, yeah. It's kind of, it's a little interesting, I think, like a case study of like using communities to manipulate people and stuff. Like, one of the key things is that you've got to create an enemy, right? So who should become the enemy? The largest creator in the space. And when I was no longer the largest creator in the space, then he went about trying to harass other people. But not with MACD. They're still talking about in the Discord about because one of these guys he says he's trading against MACD, and they're saying like, yeah, that's not very effective. But I gave him the study. I don't know if I should really put more effort into it. Maybe I'll read if they're still going later. I'll get more involved. Oh, I'm sure. One of the things that I've found that's really interesting is that the audience from the YouTube does seem to go around. Like when Matt's channel became popular, we did lose some viewership, I think. Like the people that were, they didn't really believe me on that technical analysis is mostly nonsense. They went and they just started watching him. Or price action. But I don't make any claims. Like I come in and I say futures trading is hard. Most people lose money. Sometimes I do well and sometimes I don't. Today I guess I didn't take any trades. Well, I took a sim trade on a one tick scalp, I guess. I guess that counts, right? I really like that one. Gus says, I still think you were wrong, but I like you. He's talking about the technical analysis thing. Well, I think that order flow is the term has definitely become abused, Kulud. It really has. Like to me, order flow is watching the orders, both the limit and market orders, come into the market and the kinds of analysis that you can do on that. And there's a lot of really good scholarly research about how order flow behaves and how it ties into market microstructure that teaches us really important insights into markets, right? But order flow has kind of turned into set up a volume profile, and when there was a ton of volume there before, there's going to be a reaction to it there again, and this kind of nonsense, like if it's trying, we talk about this, you'll see this in the Gary Norton interview that we're going to be posting. If you're trying to make an assumption about you see some people trading and there's an assumption that they know something and that it's going to continue. That's a fallacious assumption. And that you saw something there before, so you're going to see it there again. That's a fallacious assumption. And a lot of what has happened is a lot of order flow has basically been adopted by technical analysis people, and they turned it into technical analysis. Which is why I'm trying to teach you, like when I'm sitting here, like here is a way to trade. I'm trying to show you like empirical evidence that shows you that there's some edge in this stuff, right? Like markets move off of news. Like that's very provable. Okay. Markets are inelastic. That's a theory, but I think that there's some really good evidence to support that theory. And some really good evidence that falsifies the efficient market hypothesis, right? Howard Stern built his empire that way by picking feuds with radio hosts. Yeah, but like, like if somebody is going out there and is saying, like here's the thing on YouTube, you're not supposed to harass people and stuff, so I'm not going to participate in that. I guess I have to go watch that video and see if there's anything that can be reported, but so last time he was making a lot of personal insults that broke their rules, broke YouTube rules, right? What's the fastest way to get news before it's widely known? I wish I could say that there was a fastest way. I think that the biggest thing is you need to be as much of an expert on your market as possible. And, a news squawk, like one of the things is that sometimes the news comes out that is just so important that the market can't price it quickly enough, right? And so you can come and you hear it over the news squawk and you can just take the trade and hold it for a few days or whatever. Because the order book literally cannot handle that degree of a move. There's not enough liquidity. So it takes time. It takes time for them to do it, right? But I think is more important is just like knowing what's going on. Like here in the Treasury, I think is a really great example, right? Like it's kind of been a little bit back and forth, and mostly it seems like it's moving off of the Japanese yen. So the Treasury is not really moving, right? So do you think that the treasuries have correctly priced in a Fed taper? I don't. Now, when Powell speaks on Friday and he says, yeah, we're going to taper or whatever, that might be like big news to you, right? But if you've been following it, then you know that that's kind of like the key question is, what is Powell going to say about tapering when he does his talk at 8 o'clock on Friday? Sorry, 10 o'clock Eastern time, right? And so you can almost anticipate and expect certain pieces of news and maybe even position trade off of them, right? Even news is hard to trade sometimes because you think X will happen and Y happens. Well, yeah, but that's where, again, like you kind of have to know like what the expectations of the market are and stuff. Sometimes, if the market has priced it in, then when he makes his speech, you could see some moves that don't really make sense because it's traders taking profits rather than trying to adjust to new expectations, right? If you need fast feed, then squawk. Well, I really think that having a news squawk is a tool that every trader should have. At the very least, you should have TweetDeck up and follow our little list of news squawks on Twitter. than Squawk. I tell you what, what Gary shared with me about his course, by the way, I was really impressed. I think that there is some stuff in there. I mean, it's changing. Okay, it's gonna be something like everybody. You're all gonna visit his website. I almost guarantee it. That's all I'll say about it. Now, how good the actual education is inside of it, you know, like if you go through his whole program and everything, is it going to make you a successful trader? I think it could certainly help, but trading is still really hard, right? No education or tool or guru or indicator or anything is ever going to fix that problem. That trading is just hard, right? Is there a taper? Has the market priced? I don't think that the market has priced in a taper. I could be wrong, but these treasuries are artificially high because of demand for treasuries in the market. And if they taper in November and they're not buying as many of them, that's going to make more of those available, and the interest rates are going to move up. Interest rates are definitely going to move up. I think it makes sense to try and be long rates here. But we'll find out for sure on Friday, won't we? But that's how you do it. You've got to be the expert, right? You've got to know. You've really got to know what's going on. As much as you can, at least. Of course, there's always going to be some things that you can't know. But all right, guys. Well, it is time for me to get going. So I was just remembering that the name of the stream is Day Trader Becomes E-Boy. I'm sticking with it. Hey, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. Were you the one that gave me that book? Because I have to say, that book was freaking amazing. But Kulud, you haven't been here. No. So that guy, the guy that wrote that book, Jean-Philippe Bouchard, he has a research study that they put out last week that you're gonna want to read. You're gonna want to go read. If you haven't read his newest paper, you're going to want to go and read his latest paper. I think that, like, we are learning so much about markets, and there's a really important piece of research that could have some really direct impacts on the way that you decide to trade. It was good. But you're right. I mean, like the issue is, like, that book is really cool, but it's like, most of what they're teaching you is, like, if you're going to make an automated trading system for a bank, then you would read that book, right? Is it going to help a retail trader with their trading? But I think it's like that with a lot of them. Like the No BS Day Trading, like, it's a great book. I don't think that you're going to make money if you just read that book and you use his setups. No, probably not. But you do learn a lot of really useful information. So... But ultimately, to really have success in trading, you're going to have to take those whatever sources you can find out there, and you're going to have to find a way to take them a step further, right? And develop an edge on your own. So, market's competitive, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay profitable.